Console exclusive games. I am so glad that this might actually stop happening. I'm sorry, but I don't want to have to spend $500 to play a video game. I have to spend $500 to spend $80 to be able to play a game that's 30 hours. Like you did with Final Fantasy 16? Yes, exactly. At 30 FPS, yeah.
It's 2024 and publishers are taking fewer risks and layoffs are rampant.
Yep.
As the most front-facing of the big three gaming executives, Xbox CEO Phil Spencer sat down for an interview to lament the current state of the video game space.
Oh.
How does this industry get back to growth was the resounding question he left us with in a recent interview with Polygon. It's clear that console sales aren't seeing the growth that even leaders in this regard would like. PlayStation is porting games.
I think also another reason why console sales are going down is because of phones. Because more people play games on their phone now. So why would somebody buy a console if they already have a phone and a lot of the games that they would play, they can just play on their phone? Don't you guys have phones?
PC via Steam. Xbox is expanding its release strategy to include Steam, PlayStation, and Nintendo. And
by the way, I think that Xbox releasing their games onto PlayStation 5 is only to future-proof themselves from concerns that the FTC will have that they're trying to create a monopoly in the video game industry. Because they got sued for that, and they tried to block the Blizzard acquisition, the Blizzard Activision acquisition. And so it's a little bit hard to say, but yeah, that's what it was. And so I think that's the real reason why they're doing it. I don't think it has anything to do with business strategy. Now, it could be serendipitous that it helps their business strategy, but the real reason why it's happening is because of that lawsuit, I think.
Nintendo, and it's becoming clear that there's seemingly a consensus between PlayStation and Xbox that the entire...
It's like, what are the odds that, like, right after this big lawsuit for... a monopoly comes out, that they start putting all their games on other platforms? I mean, what are we talking about?
Industry is going through a recalibration, starting with console exclusives. The recalibration has been accelerated thanks to a massive wave of layoffs that has roiled the video game industry. We covered the impact those layoffs have on those who create games before, and as thousands of applications flood the inboxes of the few companies looking to hire, it's likely many of the displaced will move on to new industries in the future.
It's also really important to keep in mind that the entire tech industry is going through layoffs. So, like, yes, video games have their own unique problems, but the tech industry as a whole has been going through layoffs. So, yeah, it's not just tech. Yeah, I mean, come on. Like, didn't they fire 11,000 people last year? Look at Twitch. Twitch doesn't even make video games. They make a place for people to play video games. And they dropped, 35% of their workforce, which was like 500 people. That's huge. 30 Amazon. Yeah, come on. It's crazy.
The entire industry is resetting to the commercial reality, with some companies realizing they have overexpanded, become unfocused in their strategies, or become overstretched financially.
And this is also another thing that happened. I'm sorry I do this with like fucking videos, because as soon as I start thinking about something, I think of like 50 other things that have to do with it. And so I always have like more shit to talk about. Like, look at esports organizations, right? So like, look at FaZe, look at 100 Thieves, look at The Guard, for example. Look at, I think there's probably another one, I forgot their name because they're dead now. And so all of these esports organizations also overhired and overexpanded during COVID. And the result of that is that whenever investor money dried up, because they're not seeing the same returns, because a lot of times, like, it's crazy for me to see how much money is invested into effectively vibe checks. TSM. Yeah, look at TSM. There you go. Every single one of these things went down, and none of them make video games. I think one of them maybe had like a small game, but that was about it. So again, it's actually not something that has to do with like video games intrinsically. I think it has to do with the tech industry as a whole and overhiring during COVID, naturally, right? And then also, now that that's reduced, I'll tell you this personally, right? And like, maybe I shouldn't say this, I guess I'll just say it. The amount of money that you could get for sponsors was higher 2 years ago for the same amount of like viewership, because sponsors aren't paying as much money as they used to. Now, why is that? I'll tell you exactly why. It's because people don't deliver good marketing. So why are you going to pay somebody $10,000 for $7,000 of marketing? It's much better to pay them $5,000 for $7,000. That way you actually make money. I see your point overall, but 2 years ago, we were kind of in COVID, so I guess that would increase viewership. I agree with you, and that's why I explicitly said you didn't listen. You're trying to have like a little point. I explicitly fucking said for the same viewership because I knew somebody would say that. Listen to what I'm fucking saying. Of course I would keep that in mind. Duh.
Starting roles of Ampere Analytics tells IGN.
Of course.
By now, it's widely known that there are two primary culprits for the recent wave of layoffs. COVID is one, according to Michael Pachter of Wedbush Securities and Dr. Sir.
Wait, let me look at this again.
COVID is
Publishers are right-sizing after growing in anticipation for COVID-induced sales growth that didn't materialize. Well, and also, like, this isn't entirely true either because a lot of businesses, like, it's very hard to measure business, like, success. But, like, if you look at, for example, Twitch, the COVID boom that Twitch has experienced did not completely fizzle out. And it's very easy to look something like this up because you can go to Twitch Tracker and it tracks the amount of people that are on Twitch. And you can see that in April 2020, this is probably COVID plus Among Us, the growth there was like it went from 1.6 to 2.4. That's insane. That's literally 50% growth. That's gigantic. And now, like you can see if you draw a line from here to here, can I make it red? Yeah, I'm going to make it red. You can see that very clearly it has gone up. And then you draw a line from here to here. You can see that the growth is maybe even slightly higher. See what you're saying? Yeah. So this is very important to keep in mind. Like this right here was Fortnite, and this was Among Us plus COVID. So, like, I can't speak for every social media platform, but I can say for Twitch, the growth that they experienced has actually stuck.
According to Michael Pachter of Wedbush Securities and Dr. Serkan Toto of Kantan, highlighted another reason this wave is hitting the industry. High interest rates, slowed down growth, inflation, and overall negative sentiment are clearly weighing on the game industry and gamers alike.
Yeah, it's hard to get people to pay $70 for a game because people don't have $70. And like this is a big issue even at $60 for a game. And you're seeing games that are $40 like Pow World, or I think that Enshrouded, or I think that Helldivers was... How much was Helldivers again? I don't remember it exactly. I think Helldivers was a little bit cheaper too. Helldivers is $40. Yeah, you're seeing that $40 price point happen a lot more often because the truth is that everything now is so expensive, people are getting pinched. Like, nobody has any money to afford anything. So the idea of spending $100 almost on a video game is actually, even because of inflation, it's still unthinkable. Because it's logical to think that video games should go up in price naturally, right? Because everything does. It's inflation. But the problem is that it's such a static price that gamers just can't pay it. They just don't have the money because a lot of the people that play games are people that don't have any fucking money. That's another big issue. Who are the biggest players of video games? Kids and young people. And you know who doesn't have any fucking money? Kids and young people.
As a result, Spencer says it's clear we'll be seeing a shift in the coming years away from console exclusives to mitigate the losses in revenue everyone has been reporting. The impact of the revenue needed to break even on $300 million budgets has had devastating consequences in the form of mass layoffs.
This is also another issue that these game developers are running into, is that I feel like I'm talking so much, and I apologize if you guys just want to listen to the video, but I have so much shit to say about this. The reason why that they're going for like these milquetoast games that appeal to everyone is because they need to make back $300 million. And the only way that they can make back their gigantic fucking like 9-figure investment into a video game is by targeting the general audience of the entire world. So that's why you see games that get watered down a lot. It's because they have to water the game down a lot because that's the only way they can make the game appeal to a large enough audience to where it'll be profitable.
I believe the industry is not done yet seeing layoffs. We will see further bad news through 2024.
Just wait till 2025. It's going to be even worse. It's going to be horrible. Like, I'm not kidding. I think it will be a Rapture level event where like 50% of people will be fired. Probably in 5 years.
From Dr. Serkan Toto of Kantan Games is a concerning prediction that proves more true as the days pass in 2024.
Oh, yeah.
PlayStation, Xbox, and EA have drastically reduced their staff, making headlines at every major gaming publication. Embracer not only saw layoffs, but also started spinning out their recent acquisition.
It's important to keep in mind that the Embracer group were the ones that canceled the Deus Ex game. And there were even people that were saying that the game wasn't really going very well. I don't even think that it's always a bad thing to cancel games, because sometimes whenever you're delivering a game, it just sucks. And sometimes it's better to cut your losses. Deus Ex, sorry, I've actually never heard it pronounced.
Like Gearbox to new owners, and then Gearbox had layoffs. Well, Spencer is the latest to lament the negative impact of budgets and layoffs have on the entire games industry, highlighting a risk-averse publisher market, rising AAA game creation costs, and a flatlining console business. It's clear to him that things need to drastically change. PlayStation seems to agree, as they've slashed console sales predictions for 2024 from 25 million to 21 million, and highlight
that's a huge reduction, by the way, because like again, you might think it's only 4 million and it's like out of 25, but like that's like over 10%. That's a huge amount.
Plans to be more aggressive with PlayStation game releases on PC. All of this has an effect on the games industry as we know it, and more specifically, the console business. While PlayStation still champions the value of exclusive releases on its console, they've slowly but surely adopted a more aggressive PC release strategy as well. I think a notable statement during Sony's
I think this is probably what they're going to start doing, is they're going to release games early on PS5 and then release them later on PC. And I think this makes sense, and it's probably better for everybody. Like, all things considered, I think that it is better for everybody. Because that way you get the games that come out as fast as possible. And you also have games that are hopefully optimized for PC. Because what ends up happening is a lot of these games that are developed, for example, like for PlayStation first and then for PC later, they have problems like what Dragon's Dogma had, Wild Hearts, Hogwarts Legacy, Jedi Survivor. I think those are some good examples.
Earnings, PlayStation CEO Hiroki Totoki said, "In the past, as you all know, we wanted to popularize console, and the first-party title's main purpose was to make the console popular."
And I think they've succeeded at that. And I think also one of the reasons why Sony is scaling back is because Sony has completely fucking dominated Xbox. Xbox is a joke. Why the fuck would you buy an Xbox? Like PS5, what is it? Doesn't it outsell Xbox 3-1? They completely blew them the fuck out.
There is a synergy to it. So if you have strong first-party content, not only with our console, but also other platforms like computers, first-party content can be grown with multi-platforms. And that can help operating profit to improve. So that is another one we want to proactively work on. But this isn't the first time PlayStation has brought up its shifting perspective on console exclusives. Head of PlayStation Studios, Herman Hulst, also discussed the importance of the PC in May of 2023.
PC has grown to become a substantial part of SAE's first-party business.
Yes.
Extending the reach of our IP beyond the console to a broader
I really hope Stellar Blade goes to PC for unrelated reasons.
Audience of players.
Jim Ryan echoed those sentiments on the same call, saying,
in fact, already our PC business is a significant profit contributor.
Parting roles of
I think also a good example of like this working is Helldivers 2. Like Helldivers 2 is like, I think what happens a lot is that companies are afraid to take risks, and then as soon as one company takes the risk and does it, then all the other companies are like, okay, it's fine.
Analytics dives in a bit deeper. Clearly, the macroeconomic backdrop will have contributed to companies looking to streamline their operations, cut their costs, reduce commercial risk, and cut investments. This is inevitable in the current climate, and it's relevant to all industries. He continues to cite wage inflation and increasing costs of game design as reasons many studios have started looking into the safest route forward, which will also...
I think one of the reasons why games are getting more expensive is because video game development studios are focusing on things that gamers don't have value in. So like they're focusing on trying to make the facial features of the different characters in the games accurate and photorealistic. And I don't think that that's really something that gamers really care about. And so what ends up happening is that whenever you have a studio full of people that like making games and the process of making games, they're going to care about that process a lot more than the end user will. So what ends up happening is that games start creating like points of interest and points of value that the consumer base doesn't hold value in. So this is a huge problem with a lot of things. It's like whenever you have a developer or like a content producer that's producing content and their frame of reference for what's good content is different than what the consumer's frame of reference is, you're going to have a massive problem. And you're seeing that now, for example, with Marvel. You're seeing that with movies in general. It's like, well, the companies think that this is what, oh, they want a female lead. Well, people might not actually want that. They just want a good movie. So whenever you focus on things that an audience doesn't necessarily care about, then what you do is you're investing $100 million, or let's say $5 million, into something that only has 5% of its value being realized by the customer. So like this, here's another really great example of that, okay? This is for streaming. How many of you guys know a streamer that has less than 100 viewers but has a setup better than mine? A lot of them. There it is.
Mean a more risk-averse market for a few years. One big budget game getting canceled can lead to hundreds of layoffs, according to peers. All of these changes will reshape the industry and games we play for years to come. Gamers want more access in more places, and both Xbox and PlayStation are ready to appease that request to meet their ballooning budgets, albeit in different ways. For Xbox, it's releasing former console exclusives on rival hardware, while PlayStation is ramping up its PC porting business.
There it is.
That could mean fewer console exclusives as hardware sales forecasts are reduced, but more ways to...
no way this wasn't because of that fucking lawsuit. There's no way. This is 100% because of that.
Play the games we love. While pure console exclusives still go some way towards driving console sales, more so for Nintendo than others, it has become clear that gamers now expect to be able to play games on a variety of devices. Daniel Ahmad.
I think this is also extremely true, but the variety of devices I don't think are referring to PC. I think it's referring more to phone, tablet, and other types of like mainstream devices. And if you look at a lot of the most popular games, those games are so extremely popular is because that they're able to be played on tools that are not simply a gaming PC or a gaming, like device. Genshin pioneered this. No, Fortnite did.
Tells us. Even in Japan, where the console has traditionally been dominant and 41% of gamers played a console game in the past year, only 14% of all gamers exclusively play on console, according to our 2023 survey of Japanese gamers.
There it is.
Players getting more access and more options for how to play is amazing news for customers.
I think also like what they do over in Japan, I'm not really sure about, but I know like for China, for example, mobile games are really popular there because commutes in China can often be up to 2 hours. They spend a lot of time in public transportation. And whenever you're in public transportation, you can play video games on your phone. Whereas here, everybody has cars. So, or not everybody, but a lot more people have cars. And so, obviously, it's not as big of a thing there. Yeah, and the Switch. Yeah, there you go. Japan is hard dominated by Switch. Yeah, see, like, I'm not really sure how their culture is over there in terms of, like, transit. I've only read about China.
To PC
but I would
and
assume it's probably
isn't
similar.
A new strategy. It's happening at a much faster rate, and it will have a drastic impact on the console market and how we consume games in the future. Console platform holders have embraced a broader strategy over the past few years and will continue doing so with the aim of reaching gamers on non-console platforms, Ahmad tells IGN. And
every single video game that goes Omega viral does that. Like if you look at Fortnite, if you look at Minecraft, and if you look at Among Us, every mega viral game has low quality graphics and it's playable on almost anything.
Comments from Phil Spencer seem to indicate an incredibly aggressive approach in this respect.
PUBG,
Rumors are swirling of an Xbox handheld that will be more open to services like Epic Games having a place on it. And hopefully...
Oh, I have an Xbox handheld, actually. Yeah, I have it right here. Yeah, what do they mean? Am I not supposed to show this? Oh, shit. Oh, jeez.
services like Steam, a strategy that aims to tear down the walled garden approach the industry has used in the console business for years. Harding Rolls adds, all console players now have strategies in place to reach broader audiences with their services, games, and IP. Out of the three companies, Microsoft has been the quickest and most active in evolving its strategy, largely because it has had a more acute need to look for growth beyond its console business.
It's also because Microsoft monetizes PC sales in a way that nobody else does because they own the most commonly used operating system for PC. So the reason, like, Microsoft and Xbox is in a position to capitalize on PC in a way that no other company is able to do, other than, let's say, if Apple started making video games. So that's one of the other big reasons. And also, yeah, I think that another big reason why they capitalized on a lot of PC is because they saw Xbox sales going down. Because I feel like the Xbox One versus PS4, who the fuck would buy an Xbox One? The PS4 blew it the fuck out. I'm sorry. It was so good.
Even Nintendo is branching away, albeit in a different way, through theme parks and movies. Think of it this way. You don't need to own a Nintendo Switch to go to Universal Studios or watch the upcoming Legend of Zelda.
I feel like a fucking boomer. I feel like if I went to Super Nintendo Land, everybody there would be my age. And some of them would have their kids there. Some of them would have their girlfriends there. And you know, I'd just be there, right?
The live-action movie.
I do want to go.
Toto points out that console sales have remained flat for everyone. Looking back at the last several years, it is easy to see that the Xbox and PlayStation console audience is not growing.
It can't, because every single year, the technology on your phone is growing at seemingly a faster rate than the technology in PCs. And also, a phone is something that you already have. Like, you need to have this, but you don't need to have an Xbox. So if you're going to spend time playing something, you might as well do it on your phone. So also, there's like a point where, like, you think about it like this, and you have, like, this is game quality, right? This is low quality. This is high quality. AME. QUALITY quality. That's how I spell it, right? And so, like, video game consoles used to be, and this is what, like, let's say this is video game consoles. It used to be right here. And then phones used to be right here. But now it's like this, where the phones can play video games of a quality level that's up to here. Phones suck? No, they don't. Phones absolutely do not suck. Which games then? Genshin Impact, Fortnite, Minecraft, Roblox, Among Us, massive games. PUBG, Once Human, whenever that comes out, Honkai Star Rail, Stardew Valley, Terraria. Like, there are a lot of these games that phones can run. And if you go back 15 years ago, phones could not take the same market share from consoles because phones simply could not run games that met that minimum benchmark. 10 years ago even, they couldn't do that. Now, phone games were okay back then, but, like, go back and look at, for example, Honkai Impact 3rd came out in like 2016, 2017, and then look at Genshin Impact. Both of these were phone games. Genshin Impact clears it by a fucking mile. Phones have gotten a lot better, and they've closed the gap between between themselves and consoles. So every year, phones will cannibalize more console sales.
It backs it up. No console, not even the highly successful Nintendo Switch, has managed to surpass the 160 million units the PS2 sold. In over 20 years, the closest was the Nintendo DS, which capped out at around 154 million units. Even
to be fair, by the way, the PlayStation 2 was also a DVD player. A lot of people bought it for it being a DVD player. That's why I think Sony tried to make PlayStation 3 a Blu-ray player, because they tried to capitalize on that same market shift.
Nintendo Switch that everyone points at as the bar for success, which is currently gearing up for a successor, is currently sitting just shy of 140 million units sold. So how will this impact you? If you have poured a purported 300 million into developing Spider-Man 2, it makes sense to invest a comparably modest sum to port it over to the PC to address a bigger audience and drastically improve the bottom line, Toto said.
Yeah, that's exactly right. $300 million. That is nuts. Holy shit. Yeah, no, I think that that's true. It's like you sell it to more people, you're going to have more people playing the game, and then you make more money. It's pretty simple. And so the only reason they weren't doing this before is because it was like a Cold War between like Xbox and PlayStation, where nobody wanted to put their games anywhere else because they didn't want to hurt their console sales. And now that the market's evolved and kind of like because for a long time, I'm sure that this is the way that they viewed it, is that they could keep selling more and more consoles. But I think that what's happened is that they have reached that kind of glass ceiling, and they can't go above that glass ceiling for selling consoles anymore. And because that, now they're trying to grow in other ways. And I think that I think the rise of phone gaming is actually the main reason why that's happening. And also the accessibility of PC gaming. Like, being a PC gamer now is more accessible than it was 15 years ago.
A win for the customer, in my opinion. There are two main factors driving the expansion to PC and mobile, Ahmad elaborates. The first is the opportunity in terms of audience size and player spending, especially in Asian markets where these platforms are dominant. The second factor...
The two main factors driving expansion. Oh, yeah. Well, there it is.
Is that AAA game development budgets have continued to grow over the past decade, which pushed many publishers to increase the price of console games from $60 to $70. Free-to-play games also need a large and engaged audience to succeed over the long term, which may be limited by a capped console install base. Therefore, launching the games on PC or bringing first-party IP to mobile is a way to address these 2 points.
And that's why you see so many games going to mobile. Obviously, Diablo Immortal is a good example, but it's really PUBG and stuff like that, COD Mobile. You're seeing a lot of these like big mainstream normie games go mobile. Death Stranding and Resident Evil 4 is on mobile too. Yeah, you're going to see a lot more of that.
Change can be scary for some, but take comfort in knowing that there's still a massive drive for spending on the console, which seems to indicate that console and hardware fans have nothing to worry about. A handheld strategy like the one Xbox is hinting at is a sound one according to Rolls. Hardware-wise, there's a lot of innovation in the console market in recent years, focused largely on the handheld sector. I'm expecting that to continue over the next few years.
Exactly. And again, like, for example, I can play Grand Blue Fantasy Relink on a Steam Deck. I could not do something like that 10 years ago. And there's a lot of people that buy these. These are so fucking popular. For 2 hours? Yes, but for 2 hours, I mean, sure. But you can just plug it in and play it in bed. You can play Honkai Star Rail. Well, I just need a phone for that. But yeah.
And revenue-wise, there will always be a place for the console. Console represents around 1/3 of total global spend on video game software and services, which shows the opportunity for console platform holders when expanding to mobile and PC. In fact, the contrast is even more pronounced in Asia and MENA, where over 90% of player spending is generated on non-console platforms.
That's fucking true. And so the other thing is that all of these games now are going global. Like, you're seeing these games selling and making tons of money in like Chinese markets. And everybody talks about China. China's really big. But you know what else is really big? South America. South America is fucking massive. And like, you saw that. Remember whenever Thor was talking about this the other day in that clip that I watched? And he was saying that, like, you know, for his game that was priced locally in like Brazil, that they were like a huge part of their market. Because yes, like, if you can unlock a market in, for example, imagine being able to unlock the Indian market. Imagine being able to unlock the South American market. Unlock the Chinese market. Like, bro, that's it. You're done. You win. That's all the money.
Daniel Ahmad tells us, and rolls back.
I'm serious. Yeah, think
None
about
of
it.
the companies can afford to exit the console market as a platform holder without significantly reducing their games revenue. So I expect them all to remain committed to the console market for years to come. There is a chance we will have Microsoft and Sony focusing a lot more on handheld and the cloud,
100%.
especially after how the Steam Deck revealed.
Just like usual, Nintendo is the true innovator, and then the other companies come in afterwards and try to act like they can do it better.
There is high demand
the way it
for
is.
high-fidelity games on the go, Toto says. For today, however, one thing is clear. Change is coming. Change is here. More games in more places and a better value for the gamer is a huge win. Console exclusives may become less and less common, but if that means these companies are going to create more options for you, I am all for it.
I think it's incredible that you have console Andes that are hoping that console games that are exclusive don't go on other consoles, because then they will feel stupid for spending $500. I have not heard a better argument against reducing the amount of people that can vote than that. You know, like every once in a while you hear something that like you hear something so incredibly stupid and it reminds you that everybody can vote, and then you realize why things are the way they are.
Let me know what you think about this in the comments below. I'd love to hear your
What
thoughts.
about cloud gaming?
For more on all things gaming, keep it right here.
That's also a really good
at
point.
IGN.
So cloud gaming is a really big factor, and I think that we are going to see cloud gaming grow a lot. I think that in 20 years maximum, cloud gaming will not be the, maybe, I don't know, I can't imagine a tech like we can't imagine it. But I could easily see a world where cloud gaming is the norm in 20 years. The truth is that cloud gaming is already here, and a lot of people can do it, and it's pretty good. Google Stadia came out too early. Microsoft released a tablet in like 1999 or 2000. A tablet, like a fucking iPad. But it was too early for the market, and nobody bought it. And so I do think cloud gaming is going to be the thing, but I also don't know when that's going to happen. GeForce Now? Yeah, I'm not sure. No one remembers On Live? Yeah, exactly. Google Glass was too early. Google Glass was too early. And again, companies, there are often times, like this is, by the way, this is a really good video. I like this video. It's an IGN video. And I'm glad to see them making videos like this again. Because like this is just like, just in general, fucking like random gaming videos talking about actual gaming. There's no bullshit in it or anything like that. IGN based, yeah, exactly. When there's more competition, prices are affordable. Too many subscriptions nowadays makes it hard for the average consumer to justify it, I guess. Yeah, I think that you're right about that too. With more decentralized servers coming up every day, it's just a matter of time. Yeah, I think that you're going to see even more of that. And also as technology gets better and like, you know, everybody now is getting fiber. Everybody's getting this. Whereas like maybe 10 years ago, the only people that had fiber were maybe like news stations and like, you know, IBM and streamers have fiber. Whereas now it's, how many of you guys have fiber now? Me. There it is. And so you're going to see the tech grow. And then once there's enough of it, then you're going to see cloud gaming pop off.